even back in '88 and even earlier, what was kind of like you, Woody Wood, E.S.T? What were your guys kind of like roles and relationships with each other? Did you hang out once ES got in the fold? Did you and Woody Wood still hang out more together, or were all three of you hanging out the same? Like, what was that dynamic?
Well, me and Woody Wood, we was cool. Like I said, we used to do parties and stuff like that together. But it was more like a DJ. And if we came over to practice, or we had to do a party or something like that, it was more like that. After ES came into play and we became a group, I got closer to Wood, but I got really closer to E because he's the lyrics, I'm the music. So we was constantly working with one another. So I mean, like we used to hang with each other like every day, like first thing in the morning. That's the call I get, or that's the call he get, and then we could go somewhere, chill or hang out. And we had gotten really close. That's like my little brother. I mean, I learned that we got close because of music. Like we were so passionate about it. ES could be in a restaurant, and if he hears somebody say something clever over here at this table, he on a napkin, like, you know, if I hear a sound coming over the PA, just the music background, you hear that? You know, that if I did this like that. You know what I mean? Like we had that commonality. Like we vibe like that when we get together. It's shit was like damn near magical. Like
Hmm, okay. So being out of uh contract with Lawrence Goodman, what was the difference then for making live from Acknickulous Land? Did Arista treat you the same? Did you have more freedom? Could you tell a difference? Like, what was the vibe like?
um the vibe was pretty much the same. Arista always exercised their creative control. They like we spending the money, we get the final say or whatever it is. Even if we telling them, listen, it don't make sense what you're saying. You know, it just doesn't. Like they would get the final say. But where it made a difference elsewhere is obviously economically things that weren't going to you that was supposed to go to you started coming to you now. You know, and that was a great difference.
Yeah, I imagine that's a nice one too. And also on live from Acknickulous Land, you had a lot of live music with electric guitar, you had bass, keyboards, drums, different things. What um what was going on production wise and with you yourself that you started doing that more, I guess, on that album?
Well, like I said, I just like music. Period. We had different people coming and play certain parts. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you have an idea in your head and you're not the musician that can convey it on the instrument. So I had somebody else like, "Here, play this like that, mouth it, or like I still do stuff like that to this day. I hum a bass line like no 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 like this. You know, some of it again was Ashton because Hammer he upset a lot of people with doing them numbers, and now everybody wanted everything to be more melodic, more pop. Most of our album was beats and rhymes. We came from beats and rhymes origin. It wasn't a whole lot of music in it. It became a whole lot of music because they kind of forced our hand with that.
Okay. And uh, I remember as I first read this back in the day that it
Mhm.
was executive produced by Lawrence Goodman, but then you in particular at the bottom was like you had to shout him out only for contractual stuff. So why, if you got out of the contract, did you still have to mention him as executive producer?
Because the way they did his situation, they gave him a sum of money and what's called a fade. Um, a fade typically for the people who don't know, you may get like a point on this project, half a point on that. And it gradually fades out to they totally out of the situation. Like, have you ever seen the old Eazy-E interview with Arsenio Hall when he said he was still making money off of Dre? He had to fade. Dre was out of the situation, but he was still making money off of the records till he faded all the way out. Something like that.
Okay.
That
And
wasn't that wasn't me. That was ES. Though. ES wanted to let it be known he ain't had nothing to do with nothing. That was that was. I was like, man, it don't matter, man. You know. But he was like, oh man. So the lawyer told him how he could say it, and it was printed. I don't know if they put it under my name, but I ain't care about all that. I
no,
look at it like this, like I don't have no ill will toward the law. It's good. Even with everything that happened, I don't have no ill will toward any of them guys. Still, without him being in the picture, when nobody heard of no 3 times though, when nobody heard of Chuck Nice or D.D. or E.S.T. For me to sit there and say because things weren't the way I would have liked them to be, it's not the same as I didn't learn something. I learned a lot. He taught me a lot. Like part of the reason I am as meticulous as I am is because he used to crack the whip. You know what I mean? And you might not like when somebody cracks the whip, but if it turns you into Michael, you know what I mean? Like you can't feel but so bad about it. Like I learned a whole lot of stuff, performance wise, everything. Like one thing he used to always say, because you get in there and we rehearsing and people doing stuff, and because they know it's not an audience, they're landscape into these shape. They're not giving it all. No, man, say it like the record. Say it like it's a million people out there. And he used to say it like that because if you get in the habit of saying it lackluster like that, even when the million people are out there, you're still going to be lackluster. And at the time when he said it, it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me because I'm thinking like, well, you know the difference between when you got the actual audience, so you're gonna get you all with the audience. But I've seen it happen. I've seen us go out there and be in chill mode because that's how we've been rehearsing it. That's how we've been going over it and over and over in our heads. It's like so it's conveying on stage, whether we even digging what's going on or not, it's happening. So it's like now, man, I don't care if it's if you playing to a mosquito in the corner, give it your all. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
No, it's very important. And I'm glad you brought that up because regardless, when you're in a bad situation or things aren't going the way you should, it's also a good opportunity where you can learn and take a lot from it that really helps you in a lot of the rest of your life. So
Yeah.
it's unfortunate that you guys didn't get compensated and all that, but it did set you guys up in a lot of other ways. So um,
One thing I agree with other people I seen do interviews and was in similar situations. If you signed on to something, you signed on to it. Who you gonna blame? If I put something in front of you right now in the document and it's not good to you, and you say I'll take it and I'll sign it. Realistically, who did who wrong? Me or you?
you did yourself wrong.
Exactly. Like you're supposed to take that. If you don't have the knowledge to know what's going on with it, take it to somebody who does that you trust, and so forth and so on. If you neglect to do so, regardless of what it is, not knowing, ignorance, laziness, whatever your reasoning for not doing it, at the end of the day, it's still your fault.
Yeah. But that's a very important thing a lot of people don't like to do, which is be accountable for themselves. So
And
it's always,
I'm a realist. I know the stuff I done effed up on, and man, listen, everybody make mistakes.
that's for sure.
I would feel bad about my mistakes if I knew everybody else was on some perfect shit. Like everybody else make mistakes. Everybody it's not a coincidence that a lot of people went through the same thing. But then a lot of it is you coming from a poor background where you never had nothing. Now you got a chance to get something. It might not be something you think you're supposed to get, and you know it in your heart in the very beginning. But the way it's played, like if you don't take this opportunity, it may never come again. You may never get any chance. Somewhere down the road, maybe you can make the situation better. So you ride with it, you know what I mean? And back then, they call it paying your dues and stuff like that. They ain't tell you sometimes they're gonna have cats paying their dues for the rest of their life. but
Yeah.
but but I mean
Yeah.
it was pretty cool because once we did get out the situation, we gained 100% of our publishing. Um, we had the leverage by pulling E out of there like that to make certain changes.
And you got 100% of your publishing back to everything on original Stylin as well.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
The only thing that had to be shared to him was whatever that point structure, the fade. Once that fade was done, that was it.
Wow. Okay. So that being said, Live from Acknickulous Land, I thought was great, and probably one of, if not my favorite song, is Mr. Sandman on there. But
That was the
uh,
first. That was the first single on Warner, Beggar's Banquet.
yeah. So uh what happened to where that record didn't blow up or get as big, do you think, looking back, as original Style?
The change. I think the change. Um, we came out in an era where it was very fickle. You can be creative, but not too creative. You can't be creative to the point you try something so new it alienates your fan base. You know what I mean? You can experiment with little mild stuff here and there, but still keep the integrity of what people used to. But once you go too far away from it, it's like, oh, what are they doing? That ain't the group I was thinking on. You know what I mean? And it was a lot of politics going on because the first single, nobody wanted it. We Get the Need to be the first single. It was the first single because the dude that was managing us at the time managed Steve Arrington. And they was getting ready, Ariston was going to grab him and try to drop something on new him. And we became the guinea pigs or the gophers to get him back to the younger generation. So let's let him sing on one of you guys' record. And let's link that the first single. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Not what people weren't used to hearing people singing on our records and scatting and all of that. Us in suits and ties, we normally enjoy the Timberlands. It just was too drastic of a change for our fan base.
Hmm.
Nowadays, cats can be all over the spectrum when they get appreciated. Oh, they're so creative. You know, it, you know, they're changing with the times. We couldn't do that back in the day. Back in the day, it was like, they feel like you fronting on your sound.
Right. Yeah. Also, Live from Acknickulous Land has Larry Lair on there. So on a couple tracks, how did you uh, get with him, and how did you guys develop your relationship?
Larry was a friend of E.S. I didn't even know he was a friend of E.S.'s when I met him. But what happened was his DJ, it was a guy we used to call T-Bucks, who ended up getting killed around that time. But, rest his soul too. T-Bucks was into the street heavy. And he was a good friend of ours, and he knew what he was going through. And even though Jeff and them gave us this lowest information that could help us get out of the situation, because we were deficient economically, we couldn't hire him on. So T-Bucks was like, listen, man, because he was on the streets and he was making street money. He said, listen, I'll pay for all that. Only thing I want you to do for me, I don't want the money back. Help me find an MC and Chuck, do some songs on it, man, and just shop it. Like, if we get a deal, great. But if we don't, then that's great too. But at least we tried. He was like, but I want to get out of this game. You know what I mean? I want to do something legitimate. You help me, I help you. And that's how it ended up starting. I picked this other guy for his MC, and the guy T-Bucks didn't like it because of the way he looked. He said he looked like baby Dracula.
Yeah, that might
Yeah,
not be appealing.
yeah, this at a time where you had to look like a little something, like it wasn't the days of the biggies and and people that were unattractive. They looked at you like, can he appeal to the ladies or can she appeal to the men? Things of that nature. T-Bucks was kind of smooth dude, late, young guy, but the girls all on him, well dressed, the whole nine. He's like, man, I can't walk out on stage with that guy. He look like Baby Dracula. Larry Ladd, he runs into Larry Ladd. He brings Larry Ladd. Larry Ladd is just like T. The way they dress, their swagger, everything. It was like these guys is like Lil Max to the young girls. Then when Larry spoke, it was like he got this baby baby Eazy-E type voice. I was like, because I was used to cats like E.S. with thick, coarse, was upfront type of vocal. But that's how I ended up being him. Just come to find out after working with him and doing some stuff with him for T, him and E.S. knew each other. They damn near grew up together. They used to rap at parties together and stuff like that.
So is T the one then on the back of the cover with Larry Lair, the other dude with him?
No, that's his cousin. That was after T passed away. After he passed away, he took his cousin as his DJ, and he was called Mad Ice back then. Now he's known as Hot Runner. He's a producer in his own right.
Okay. I was always trying to figure that out.
And I want you to listen real close to me. I'm going to ask you some real simple questions, and I want some real simple answers. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
You said that you couldn't have possibly been at the crime scene at 11:15 because you were in the bookstore buying my audio book and my hardcover book at 11:15 when the crime scene occurred in Soren's book.
The history of gangster rap.
So you couldn't have been at the crime scene because you were buying the books.
Right. At 11:15, I was at the bookstore at 11:15, and when I bought the books and accidentally left them at the store.
So at 11:15, you couldn't have been at the crime scene because you were buying books, right?
At 11:15, when I was leaving, it was some people coming in, and I forgot to grab.
But you don't remember who
what they look
people,
like,
what they look like, or nothing, right?
No.
So. At 12:15, you in the bookstore buying my audio book and hardcover book and Soren's book at 12:15. So you couldn't have been at the scene because you were buying the books, right?
Yeah, at 12:15 exactly, I was at the bookstore.
Now you see. You know you done fucked up.
What you mean?
First you said you were at the bookstore at 11:15, and then you said it was 12:15. You know you done fucked up, man.
He fucked up.
Yeah, he fucked up. He fucked up.
Man, you confusing me, man.
So, you get my book, my audio book, 40 years, and Soren's book, History of Gangster Rap, and if you don't, you know you done fucked up, right?
Man, the more those cops ask me questions, the more I wish I bought the motherfucking books.